What if everything you believed about love is a carefully constructed illusion? Have you ever wondered whether the pure, redemptive, unconditional love you chase is really the salvation you need, or just a strategy you've been sold? You grew up immersed in stories that promised love would heal every fracture you suffered. From fairy tales to glossy romance novels, from pop ballads to blockbuster movies, you were taught that one perfect person would arrive and make everything all right. You believed it, not because you're weak or naive, but because you never had the tools to question the narrative. But what if that promise was never meant to be kept? What if the love you've been searching for isn't a sacred refuge, but a tactical maneuver? Nature didn't write fairy tales. He wielded a scalpel, dissecting masks and myths. When he observed the intricate dance of human connection, what he saw was unsentimental, a complex contest for emotional influence. You don't love her, you love the version of her that reflects who you wish you were. You love the way her embrace temporarily mends your insecurities, the way her praise momentarily fills the void inside. But validation is not love, it's emotional currency. And what you call love might just be a carefully curated illusion that keeps you emotionally indebted. Across centuries, women, denied political power and silenced in halls of authority, became masters of relational influence. They learned that softness can cloak sharp strategy, that a gentle word can carry the weight of a command. While you pour out your feelings in poetic odes to vulnerability, she's quietly measuring your responses, cataloging your fears, and mapping your emotional pressure points. Not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. It's the only leverage she's been allowed. You were raised to place her on a pedestal so towering that you excuse every contradiction beneath it. You cling to the dream of the muse, the healer, the pure-hearted angel. But what if those roles are masks she's learned to wear because they work? What if behind the smile that lights up your world lies a calculating intelligence honed through necessity? This isn't a tirade against women. It's an indictment of the stories men tell themselves. As long as you believe her love is selfless by nature, you'll keep surrendering your agency for a sense of security, and she'll accept that power, because who wouldn't in a world where overt authority is denied? You are not being loved, you are being handled. And shockingly, you like it that way. You like the comfort, you like the worship, you like the emotional anesthesia that shields you from confronting your own shadows. Because if you stopped needing her to be your therapy, you'd have to face the fears you've buried: fear of abandonment, fear of inadequacy, fear of confronting parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. Romantic devotion is one of fear's favorite disguises. You think you're loving freely, but what you're really doing is bargaining. If I give you my loyalty, will you fill my emptiness? You're not seeking a partner. You're seeking a cure, a patch for your wounds. Meanwhile, she's listening not to your words, but to your needs, so she can position herself where she becomes indispensable. Nature observed this dynamic long before Freud scribbled his theories. He saw love as a contest for emotional real estate. Who gets to set the rhythm of closeness? Who holds back affection until the other yields? Who gives first and who demands last? These aren't acts of tenderness, they are maneuvers of power. And here's the untold truth. The one who needs less wields more influence. You pour all your time, attention, and identity into her, calling it devotion. She gives you just enough to keep you chasing and calls it connection. We live in a culture where women are groomed to influence without appearing to lead, and men are taught to submit while thinking they're in control. It's neither her fault nor entirely yours. It's the byproduct of a social system that denied women overt power and built men around the myth of conquest. When she pulls away, it doesn't feel like loss. It feels like a void where your reflection used to be. You thought she was intuitive, but that intuition is survival, her way of anticipating your moves in a world that never granted her the same freedoms. This isn't about casting blame. It's about seeking clarity. You inhabit a world where love is marketed as mutual surrender, but practiced as mutual leverage, where vulnerability is romanticized as a virtue, but wielded as currency. And once you grasp this, you face a crossroads: grow up or break down. Most retreat back to the familiar myth. They chase another idealized partner, believing this time it'll be different. But without changing the story, you'll only swap one actor for another. The play remains the same. But what if you tore off the masks? What if you stopped seeking roles and started seeing people as they truly are? Complex, driven by instincts, inheritors of centuries of power imbalances? Then you'd notice that the so-called manipulation you dreaded was simply a survival skill, a way to navigate a world that gave her few other options. So ask yourself, are you ready to see her without the lens of your fantasy? Are you prepared to confront your own needs, to question the narratives you've been sold? Because only then can you reclaim your agency and transform love from a story into a revolution. Avoid the rescue fantasy. Love is not your therapist, and she is not your project. Watch for emotional debt. Healthy relationships aren't keepers of ledgers. Guard your boundaries. A no from either side isn't rejection, it's respect. True partnership emerges when both people stand as equals, not when one sacrifices their autonomy for the illusion of unity. Begin the transformation today. Journal your deepest need and trace it to its root. The next time you crave validation, pause and ask, am I seeking comfort or connection? Each morning, spend 5 minutes alone repeating, I am whole with or without her. These simple practices are the foundation of authentic love. And here's an extra layer. Share your journey. Find a friend, a coach, or a therapist, and speak these truths out loud. Naming your illusions dissolves their power. When you articulate your bargaining, your fears, your dependency, you reclaim them. And with each reclaimed piece, you move closer to genuine connection. Because transformation isn't a destination. It's the courage to step into your shadows and walk through them. It's the willingness to replace fairy tale dreams with raw, imperfect reality. Are you ready to trade the illusion for illumination? Let's go deeper. Notice the moments you feel most insecure, perhaps before a date or during vulnerability. Observe which memories surface: a childhood rejection, a betrayal, an unmet need. These are your emotional fault lines. Mapping them gives you insight into your bargaining tactics, and only by facing them do you begin to disarm them. Next, reflect on the power exchanges in your daily interactions. Who decides when you speak, when you're heard, when you're comforted? Is it always you yielding, or do you sometimes hold back until you get affection in return? Awareness here is critical. It shows you the invisible rules governing your relationships. Finally, cultivate radical honesty. When you feel the urge to please, pause and name it. I am doing this to feel secure. When you crave her praise, note it. I want approval right now. By labeling these urges, you disrupt them, creating space for genuine choice rather than automatic submission. Because true revolution in love isn't about outsmarting your partner. It's about outsmarting your conditioned self. It's about dismantling the deeply ingrained stories that keep you small. It's about stepping into a relationship where two whole people meet, not two halves seeking completion. If this challenged your worldview even a little, like it, comment your boldest insight, and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of human connection. Then choose the video on your screen to uncover 3 actionable rituals that will help you dismantle emotional dependency and build unshakable self-sovereignty and ignite the revolution within you.